Welcome to the Story Learning Podcast, regular doses of language learning tips and motivation to help you become fluent in any language. With me, Olly Richards. For language programs, books, free resources, and much more, visit StoryLearning.com. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the I Will Teach You a Language podcast. Thank you very much for joining me during the holiday season. Much appreciated. If you're new here to the podcast, then it's all about language learning. So we talk about how to learn languages, ways to do it better, ways to do it quicker, and as you'll hear today, ways to avoid potentially difficult situations, which can be the source of a lot of frustration. So if you are new, please feel free to subscribe so you get these episodes delivered straight to your phone or your iPad or whatever it is that you use. Before we dive into today's question, which again is something that comes up not infrequently on the podcast, but when it does, it really hits some nerves. All right then. Without any further ado, let's get into today's question from Todd.
Hi, Ollie. My name's Todd, and I'm from Australia. And I've been living here in Madrid, Spain, for just over 3 years now. And I moved here without any knowledge of the Spanish language at all. Now, just after I moved here, I was very lucky. I met my girlfriend, who is Spanish, but she's also proficient in English. And because we met in English, we predominantly find ourselves speaking in English in most situations. Now, this is due to the reason we feel more comfortable being able to communicate in English because we can have more in-depth conversations as opposed to Spanish. So my question for you here today is, do you have any recommendations or tips on how I can break these easy communicating habits that I do have with her and be able to speak in Spanish more freely with her? Thanks for your time.
Hey, Todd, thank you very much for your question. I was in Madrid just last week, actually. It's a shame we didn't get to this question beforehand. We could have maybe met up, but maybe we'll do that next time. I was super impressed with Madrid, actually. You know, I went to Madrid, it must have been 2005, something like that. 2004, 2005. It's totally different now from what I remember. I was really impressed with the level of English overall, actually. Now I don't know whether that's just because, like in the hospitality industry, in the service industry, people in bars and stuff would speak pretty good English. I was also out with a bunch of English speakers, so maybe that kind of skewed things a bit. But I was impressed with the level of English in Madrid, and also how it just seems to have modernized. So wonderful place. I'm going to try and go back there next year for sure. Dave, who is on the I Will Teach You a Language team, he actually lives in Madrid. So I don't know, maybe you guys could meet up and we could you could exchange some tips, because I'm going to actually talk about Dave here in my reply, because he's got a very, very interesting way of approaching your question. Now look, I am a bit of a pessimist on this topic, I have to say, and I don't know whether it's just me. I think it probably is just me, but I kind of feel like I've met enough people now who have been in similar situations to just be just not be very optimistic about the way through this particular challenge. I actually think you're asking the wrong question, and I don't say that lightly, because I think this is something that, my own opinions on this are evolving, and you can actually hear that for yourself if you go back to episodes 29 of the podcast. Over 2 years ago, there was a question which was, the podcast was called I'm Learning My Wife's Language. Episode 137 was about love and language learning. Now, I can't remember what I said in those episodes, so you can go back and check them out. You may or may, you probably can't get them on iTunes now, because it's going back quite a long way, but you can always find it in the archives on the blog if you go to the podcast tab and scroll backwards. You can also go find those episodes directly by typing in the episode number. So, for example, iwillteachyoualanguage.com/episode 29 will get you back to those episodes. So yeah, in the vast majority of cases, in almost every case, when two people meet, and this could be like a romantic thing or friends or colleagues or whatever, the language that you begin the relationship in is almost always the language in which it sticks. It's vanishingly rare to find cases where a friendship or a relationship begins in one language and then switches to another. Now, funnily enough, just a couple of weeks ago, I was actually speaking to somebody who told me that did happen with them. So it's not always. But I think it's just the way that friendships are formed. They don't tend to change. You know, the reason that you are with your girlfriend is because you've established a relationship. You've established the fact that you like each other, and you've done that in a particular language. So switching to another language, it brings with it a whole host of different things, different meanings, different ways of communicating, and it really changes the whole energy of the interaction between you on its head. And I'm saying that to kind of let you know that it's normal. It's totally normal for this to happen. And so, getting back to what I was saying, when I say you're asking the wrong question, really, I think that the only way, the reason that you are more you stated a fact, right, which is that you are far more comfortable speaking in English together than you are in Spanish. Right, so let's just take that as our starting point. Now, really, until you get to the point where your Spanish is at the same level as your girlfriend's English, meaning that you can have an equally deep and meaningful conversation in English as you can in Spanish, then it's really always going to be artificial to be speaking in Spanish. And this brings me to the reason that I said that you're asking the wrong question, because the way that I've come to think about these things is look, it's on you to get your Spanish to the level that is good enough for your girlfriend to say, right, actually, look, we should speak Spanish now because we're going to have it's going to be more meaningful. That's on you. And I think the mistake that a lot of people make is to see your partner as your teacher and to see them as the source of your learning and your improvement. You know, it's a fantastic experience, going from Australia to Spain, and finding someone that you like and being with them. I mean, it's a kind of dream situation for many people, right? And yet you've kind of got this bittersweet pill to swallow, which is that although that's happened, the relationship is unfolding in English, which is, and I know how this feels. Like you're thinking to yourself, oh, but if only we spoke Spanish, I'd be like super good at Spanish by now. But it is what it is, and the relationship is far more important than the language. And so that's why whenever people find themselves in this situation and they see, you kind of start to see your partner as a kind of an obstacle to the language. And I think that's a really dangerous thing to do, because it just leads to frustration, and it ends up putting the relationship in under strain. So my advice in this situation is always not to ask, how can we spend more time speaking Spanish together, but what can I do to get my Spanish to the level where it makes sense for us to speak in Spanish? Like, that's the right question. And it really is the same question as every language learning experience. It's like, how am I going to learn this damn language? Okay, that's really the question. And I think there is a danger of getting distracted here from the real work that has to be done. So that's why, I'm pretty sure that in these previous episodes that I mentioned, like my advice is always, look, take your language learning outside the home. Take lessons, study, make friends, do language exchanges, whatever it is that works for you. Like you've got to take the heat out of the situation, take the language away, take the relationship out of the language learning, and just study, approach your language learning as you would anything else, and not rely on your partner for that, right? So that's my take on it. Now, having said that, I think there are some things that you can do. And, obviously I don't know the intricacies of your situation or the nuances. And so it may be that what I'm saying here is not accurate, in which case, take what I'm saying and adapt it to your own situation. Because I do know people who actually are quite successful at managing relationships and languages in certain ways. So Dave, who is on the I'll Teach You a Language team, he in fact edits, and he's responsible for the podcast. But I speak into the microphone, but everything else that happens is down to Dave. So you have Dave to thank for all of this stuff. much more than me. He when we met in Madrid recently, he was telling me about his routine with his girlfriend. Now he lives in Madrid. He speaks like insanely good Spanish, and his girlfriend is actually Brazilian, so she speaks Portuguese. Now Dave speaks some Portuguese. I'm not sure how strong it is. I think he's fairly new at the language, and his girlfriend speaks okay Spanish. I think not great, and her English is good, but again, not it's not her. She doesn't live and breathe English, and so they communicate in a variety of languages. I think possibly, I'm not sure whether it's English or Spanish, but what they do is they have at the weekends they have a day for different languages. So Dave's going to have to chime in here in the comments and let me know if I'm getting this right, because it's a bit complicated. But it's one of the following situations. I think that they actually speak English most of the time, and then on Saturdays they speak Portuguese, and on Sundays they speak Spanish, and that's their rule. And when we had dinner the other night, and I was asking them like, is that not hard? Do you guys is it natural? And they're like, yeah, well they just, it's a rule, and they stick to it and they just do it, and that's fantastic. So it's either that or else they speak Spanish as their normal language, as their home language, and then on Saturdays they speak Portuguese, and on Sundays they speak English. Either way, like they have one day of the week where they are dedicated to that language, and I think that's a very good way of doing it. If you can do it, like between the two of you, Todd, if you can manage that kind of situation where you have dedicated time to doing that, then I think that's fantastic, because again, the reality of the situation being that your Spanish is not as good as her English, and it's good to acknowledge that, means that the only way that you're going to really, in a genuine way, be able to speak Spanish is by imposing some kind of time restriction, right? So we'll come back to that a bit later. Luke, who is an online friend of mine, we haven't actually met in person, but we chat a fair bit, is learning Cantonese. He went to Hong Kong recently, spent 2 weeks in Hong Kong, and he messaged me on Facebook and he said, "Look, Olly, I've been to visit my girlfriend's family in Hong Kong, and I didn't speak a word of English for 2 weeks." And that's a fantastic situation. So his girlfriend's obviously happy to speak to him all the time in Cantonese, and that's the nature of their relationship, and that's fantastic. And then when he goes to Hong Kong, and he goes and stays with her family, and they speak Cantonese the whole time. And yeah, by all accounts, he had a fantastic experience. So, you can have these situations, but like I said before, I think what this comes back to is that you need to have the will on both sides, and so it's got to begin with an honest conversation with your girlfriend. I think to let her know how you feel and say, "Look, this is really important to me. What can you do to help me here? What can you do to help me out?" And she may or may not be the kind of person that's willing to do that, and you're kind of stuck with that, whatever it is. But I think the way to approach it is to, assuming that you follow my advice and that your language learning itself is something that you take out of the house and you do in your own time, and you kind of devote a chunk of your life to do that independently of your relationship. Then I think after that, the next best step is to have dedicated time that you have with Spanish. So maybe Saturdays can be Spanish day, or the evenings from like 8 till 10 or whatever, or if it's Spanish time, it might be like midnight till 3 a.m. Whatever can be dedicated to Spanish time. Something like that. See if you can set these kind of systems in place, and see whether you can stick to them. Because if you can, I think that can really work. Again, it relies on both of you to buy into it, to see the importance of it. So it's really going to be down to you, and it may or may not work. I'd say don't sort of place all your eggs in one basket. Don't be surprised if it doesn't work. I think for most people it doesn't, but I think it's worth a try. Other than that, we're really talking tactics. Ways where you can kind of shoehorn Spanish into situations. But again, that's really just it's not gonna fix the root problem, which is your level and the fact that the relationship has begun in English. So you could, for example, identify certain situations where maybe you're with her family or you go out with friends, and there's an opportunity there for you to improve. So you could say, right, I'm just going to focus my studying on, for example, when we go out for dinner with her friends, and you could learn things to say, ways to sort of carry on a conversation in Spanish in that context. So then you can kind of get good at doing that one thing, and that could potentially be a way in. You can also do things like every time, little things which I'm sure you always do, like you're always kind of asking, how do I say this, how do I say that, and focus on things that happen in your daily life, so that interactions that you typically have, whether that's kind of cooking or deciding what to do or buying tickets for something, whatever that may be, like identify the things that you're always doing, learn the words and phrases you need to say those things in Spanish, and so you can gradually, work on the language that you need for your daily life. Again, that's only going to help. And then really it's just a question of keeping that up until you get to the point, which will come. You're living in Spain, you've got ample opportunity to practice Spanish. Spanish people on the whole are not the strongest at English. So you do have plenty of experience to go out there and speak Spanish. I have no doubt that you could speak a lot of Spanish in Madrid, and if you create the situations to do so. And then it's really just a question of knuckling down, focusing as hard as you can on your Spanish, and just getting it to that point. With the big caveat, which I've kind of been dropping in throughout this whole reply, which is that it may not be possible to get to the point where you guys together can speak Spanish. It's just the nature of the relationship. So I'm sorry that's a little bit pessimistic. I can only really give you my honest reply to that. And but I think if you do approach it in that way, it gives you the best approach, the best chance of it really working. So good luck, man. I mean, it's great that you are after 3 years that you're still pursuing the language. Keeping going is the name of the game. Like, the worst thing you can do is stop. So consistency. And yeah, good luck, man. Let me know how it goes. Feel free to chime in on the comments here if there's anything that I've got wrong or if you disagree. And for everyone listening as well, if you don't share my pessimism, if you've got a bit of end of year, Christmassy, New Year optimism to inject into the conversation, then please do. The show notes are at iwillteachyoualanguage.com/episode 235. So you can come in and speak your mind and say your piece there. Feel free to shoot me down. That's absolutely fine. And yeah, that's what I got. So thanks for the message, Todd. And if you'd like to ask me a question, you can go to iwillteachyoualanguage.com/ask to do that. And at the end of every episode, I like to leave you with a resource on the topic of the show. And this isn't a resource that I left in one of these previous episodes that I mentioned. There's a great article from Hacking Chinese, and it's entitled "Language Learning with a Chinese Girlfriend or Boyfriend." And all right, it focuses on Chinese, but this applies to any language, any country, any situation. Lots of great comments on that article. People really pouring their hearts out. So go ahead and read that. That will give you some more varying opinions and just help you to find, I think, a little bit of camaraderie in this particularly difficult situation. All right then. So thanks for the message. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, depending on when you're listening to this, and see you next time.
Thanks for listening to today's episode, and in case you didn't already know, I teach languages in a rather unusual way, through stories. Now, stories are a great way to learn a new language because when you're engrossed in a story, you remember things more easily, and the mechanics of the language just start clicking inside your brain. It's quite something, and if you'd like to find out how you can learn a new language or improve your skills in a language that you already know and do it with the power of stories, then you should check out my free Story Learning Kit, which will teach you exactly how this method works and how you can use it yourself to learn a new language. Visit storylearning.com/podkit, that's PODKIT, to get free access. Inside you'll find explanatory videos, masterclasses, worksheets, short stories to practice with, and much more. Once again, that is storylearning.com/podkit, PODKIT, and if you're lucky, you might also find a link in the podcast description or show notes of this episode.